Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu mavit vishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 68 to 72 of chapter 2. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
indriyanindriyarthebhyah,
indriyanindriyarthebhyah,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
tasyam jagati sanyami,
tasyam jagarti sanyami,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
आपूर्यमाणमचल प्रतिष्ठम्,
आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठम्,
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्,
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्,
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे,
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे,
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी,
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी,
विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान्,
विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान्,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः,
स शान्तिमधिगच्छति,
स शान्तिमधिगच्छति.
Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha
Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Stitva Syamanta Kalepi
Stitva Syamantakaalepi
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last session we have started verse number 69. Now all these verses are so powerful. They are designed to bring out the infinite powers from within you. Actually, everything which is uttered by the great masters has that power to uplift the entire humanity. That potential is there. You know, in the Guru Stotram, it is said, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam. Now, what does that mean? A guru is one who is always attuned to the infinite. So, whatever he says, that is the Vakyam, becomes a mantra. Now, there, when they talk of Vakyam saying, it is not only saying all the expressions of a master actually becomes a mantra. That is, it has the power to uplift the consciousness of the person who is attuned and who is receiving. See, mantra means the energy which is encased within a sound. See, for example, when we say Om, now that has the power of the entire universe. It takes a lot of tapas to unlock the power of the mantra, but it does have that. That is the meaning of mantra. Now, what he is saying is mantra moolam gurur vakyam, means everything which the master does. So the vakyam, that is a sentence, is representative of all the expressions of a master. They have the power to uplift the consciousness because the master is attuned to the infinite. So it all depends on how much you attune to these great masters. See, when we are reading the Bhagavad Gita, it was given out by Lord Krishna, who is an avatar. It was written by Veda Vyasa, who was one of the greatest saints. Now, when you read that, remember, that has the power to uplift you. It all depends on how much you attune to the frequency of the masters. It is not only the Bhagavad Gita. Any scripture you take, it has the capacity to uplift your consciousness because it was given out by a person who was beyond the finite consciousness, who was beyond his body, mind, intellect, was always attuned to the infinite. And from there, the prajna, the wisdom has flown down. So if you can attune to the energy of these great masters, then you can receive the full power of these verses. They can completely transform you. So generally, when a person goes to a guru, what happens is, he or she is not fully attuned. From the master's side, he is always attuned to the infinite. But the student is not able to straightaway attune 100%. Even Arjuna, he is not fully attuned to Krishna. That is why he was having so many views, in chapter 1, and then chapter 2, when he says, I completely surrender to you, I am that disciple. That is only the starting point of attunement. It takes a while for Arjuna to get attuned. So even though Krishna was a manifestation of the infinite, his capacity to help Arjuna was limited, or rather was dependent on the attunement of Arjuna. Because the law is that no master is supposed to interfere with the student's choice, with the student's karmas. The master is meant to guide, but not to interfere. So it is up to the student to get attuned to the master. When the student is attuned 10%, he will be able to get 10% of this wisdom. If the student is attuned 50%, he'll be able to get 50% of this wisdom. So what is it that prevents a student from getting attuned to the master fully? It is the ego of knowledge. This is what I was briefly explaining last week. When you don't know something, that is ignorance. Now that ignorance can manifest in many ways. And one of the ways in which the ignorance manifests is when you get into a feeling that I know, then that becomes a block that doesn't allow you to attune to the master fully. See, the master actually being connected with the infinite, he is ever ready to give. Actually, there is nothing like giving or taking from a master. He is like a sun, The sun always emits light. Similarly, the master always emits the infinite energy, the energy of the infinite. But according to the receptivity of the students, each one receives that much. So if you want to really benefit from these verses, you need to attune to the frequency of these great masters who are expounding this. you need to surrender completely. See, surrender comes when you get attuned. And what prevents you from attuning is this feeling that I know. It's the ego, ego of knowledge, ego of achievement. Just because you have achieved a few things in the world, immediately that comes and corrupts the ego. That comes and corrupts you. The ego actually corrupts you. So when you approach these scriptures, when you approach the master, generally you carry this baggage of ego. I have achieved a lot. I know a lot. Because right from young age, not only in this birth, for many, many births, you have been accumulating the worldly information. So when you approach the master with that, you will be unable to attune to the master's frequency fully. The master goes on radiating, but your absorption capacity is limited to your receptivity, and your receptivity is dependent on your attunement, and your attunement depends on how much have you conquered this ego that I know. It is not merely verbally saying, I don't know anything. See, that way Arjuna has already said, I have surrendered to you, Krishna, completely. Now that is only a verbal statement. That's why I am saying that is a start. He is not at 100% surrendered. He has started that process. But as we go along, we'll find that Arjuna's surrender starts deepening. He gets more and more attuned to Krishna. And as he starts getting attuned, he is able to receive more and more from Krishna. So if you study this merely as an intellectual text, your attunement will be zero. No doubt you will get all the information, but that will not transform you. That will not really help you in terms of gaining mastery over your own mind. The attunement is the key. The secret of awakening the prajna shakti within you is in getting attuned to the infinite. And a master, a guru, comes into your life to help you get attuned to the infinite. So you first get attuned to the guru, the master, and then through that you get attuned to the infinite. So when you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, these great masters are giving this message, these messages. So don't read them merely as verses of a text. Rather, these are powerful writings and utterances of great masters who were attuned to the infinite. It is their expression. In Sikhism, they call it Gurbani, which means the Vani of the Guru, the words of the Guru. And that is considered as the most sacred thing. Actually, they say the words of the Guru are more powerful than the Guru himself. Why are they saying that? Because words mean expressions, because it is the expressions of the Guru which reaches the student. Otherwise, a true master is not here at all. He is always attuned to the infinite. It may look externally as if he is participating in the world, but his consciousness is ever attuned with the infinite. So what can a student catch? To directly catch the inner consciousness is next to impossible. So what is accessible to the student is the expression of the master, the various expressions, the words, the actions, etc. So they said for the student, the Gurbani, the Vani of the Guru becomes the mantra, becomes the most important thing. Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam. So when a student approaches the master sees that the student's intentions may be good, but this block of knowledge is there, the ego, I know. So what the Guru does is every now and then he puts the student into a state of surprise, into a state of shock by using various methods. He goes on increasing the mystery element within a student, the awe factor. Because when you feel I know, it becomes a block. You're unable to receive anything. The moment you increase the awe factor, the ascharyavat, means the wonderment factor, then you start seeking. You become available to receive the higher grace, the higher energy. So various methods the master uses. If you actually stay with the master, you will find that his actions will be very strange. One day he'll do one thing, the next day he'll do something else. Exactly the opposite. One day he'll say something and then he'll just do the opposite. Then he'll say the opposite next day. It will be very confusing initially, but the whole thing is being done so that slowly that ego of I know vanishes, and to the extent that ego is dropped, to that extent the student is able to receive this higher grace. So this is one such verse where he is actually breaking the student's ego by making such statements which are apparently mysterious and contradictory. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami. In that which is night for all beings, the self-controlled one is awake. Yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehi. That in which beings are awake is night to the sage who sees. That's why it is very difficult to stay with a true master. You require enormous devotion and surrender, because he will every now and then he'll keep shaking the student, and invariably most of the students stop their quest, they move away. Because see, when a student approaches a master, what is it that the student is actually seeking? The master is giving the infinite, but the majority of the students are seeking something finite as an end in itself. So for such students, the master always gives that much of energy to be so that that student is satisfied, and then that student goes away. But to those who are genuinely seeking the highest, the master guides in a subtle way. The whole guidance is so subtle, If you go to the Upanishads, if you just read the Upanishad superficially, you can't really get anything. Maximum people have tried to penetrate it through with the intellect. That is only up to a point. But the hidden energy, as he says, mantra moolam gurur vakyam, the expressions of these great masters have so much of power that they can completely tame your mind. Mantra means the energy which is used to tame the mind. Man means mind. So who is the person who is able to receive the energy to that extent? That person who seeks, and the seeking comes only if you are in a state of wonderment. So with the intellect, you can gain immediate answers. That will be very useful for you to gain worldly knowledge. But the primordial questions cannot be solved using the intellect. What do I mean by primordial questions? Where did I come from? Where am I going? After the death, where will I go? What is the purpose of my birth? What is the purpose of this creation? All this is very, very strange. In the Bhajagovindam, Adi Shankara says, who is your wife? Who is your son? Who is your mother? Keep asking, he says. He's not talking of verbal asking. Samsaroyam ativa vichitraha, he says. Means this samsar is vichitra. Vichitra means strange, ativa vichitraha, exceedingly strange. So the more you are able to look at life with that attitude, the more will your mumukshatva be. Mukshatva, the desire to liberate yourself. See, once this quest gets into a person, then that person cannot sleep peacefully, in the sense till the puzzle is solved. It is the mumukshatva, this quest, which will wake that person up in order to do the sadhana. So even the most knowledgeable person is shrouded in ignorance when you take these primordial questions. Within this limited, within the limited scope of birth and death, you may get to know so many things in the world. You may get several PhDs. All these are limited. But what about the fundamental questions? Who created this world? What is the purpose of this creation? Who am I? What am I doing here? If you are superficial, you will say, what am I doing here? I am talking or I am listening. Something like that. That is not the spirit of the question. What am I doing in this very life itself? See, till I was born, I didn't know my family. The moment I was born, then I became very close with my mother, with my father, and then siblings. And then when you meet your partner becomes a whole world for you. Then when you get a child, the child becomes the world, the center of your entire life. Like this, when you take up a career, that now becomes so important to you. But before you got into that, there was no relationship. Isn't this itself strange? So it's as if you came from darkness, and then you are spending some time here, and then again you're going to go into darkness. So within this small space, that is the short span of time that is between birth and death, you develop so much of ego. You keep gaining information about the world, and that feeds the ego. Why I said ego of achievement is, it is not only the ego of I know. See, knowing is the achievement of the ego. But when you form relationships, again that feeds your ego. When you acquire wealth, that feeds your ego. I am wealthy. I am successful in this career. I am great in this aspect. I know so much. So in all aspects, the ego of achievement actually comes and engulfs you, and that becomes a strong block. So your intention may be to unravel all the messages hidden here and to become one with the infinite, but you need to break these blocks. And whenever the master finds that these blocks are there, which is bound to be there for anyone, so what he does is every now and then he kinds of makes contradictory statements, or he exposes the student to such experiences which will make the student very uncomfortable. And the more the student actually goes along with the master in this journey, he will find, after a while, he or she will find that the purification will start happening. See, you may not be able to exactly know when the master is guiding, how he is guiding. It's very, very difficult. As I told you, sometimes he may use harsh methods. Sometimes he may use very soft methods. So when you see these great Siddhas in the Himalayas, their methods are very strange. When you think that they will be harsh to you, they'll be very soft to you. When you think that, yes, they're going to praise you, they will put you down. It's very, very difficult. But they have their own ways of guiding. If you just go through with that, if you go with the flow without bringing in that ego, setting aside the ego, if a student just goes with the master in this journey, after a while, the student will find that all this ego would have gone. He'll become like a child, like a baby. And see, what is the difference between a baby and a master? A baby is pure, but the awareness is not there. Whereas a master has consciously gotten into that state. That is what will awaken the prajna from within you. So last week I gave you this small homework to look at life like a baby, like a child. In the meditation also, I had introduced you to that concept. So if you had sincerely tried to practice it, you would have found that it would have been extremely difficult. But don't worry. However difficult it is, the question is it possible or not? Definitely it's possible. See, it is your own coverings, the coverings which you have put around you, that are preventing you from getting into that ultimate state of purity. And if you have put those coverings, you have the capacity to remove those coverings also. These sessions are meant to help you remove the coverings of your ignorance. So when you attend these sessions, when you approach the Guru, every session, just set aside all your achievements, your ego, everything, and with a clear mind, you approach this. Practice that. Again, when I'm saying this, I'm not saying now 100% you should practice it from this moment. If you're able to do that, then you're already a Sthita Prajna, But that effort should be there from your side. Whenever you feel any block, then immediately just invoke the Guru Shakti, bow down, and you will find that a lot of help will come to you. So what is he saying in this verse? In that which is night for all beings, the self-controlled one is awake. So he uses two words. One is Nisha. Nisha means night. And the other is Jagarti. Jagarti and Jagrati, that's singular plural. So the word is Jagr. Jagr means being awake. So these are the first two words which you need to study here. And what is most interesting is he uses the word Nisha and Jagr in a particular way in the first line, and then he uses the same two words to mean exactly the opposite in the second line. Where as we go along only you will be able to understand this. That's what I'm saying. This verse is full of mystery. It's a language of contradictions. So literally the word Nisha means night. So we'll take up the first line. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam. In that which is night for all beings. So Sarva Bhutana means all beings, everyone in common. So that in that which is night for everyone. So night here means that which is unknown to everyone. See, these are all, this is all poetry, So you should not take it literally. So he is using it in a figurative sense. So that which is unknown to you, he calls it as Nisha, night, darkness, that which is dark to you. The entire the approach of the scriptures itself is very poetic. See, even if you take the temple actually is a symbolic construction of your personality only. This is the very act of going to a temple and the idol is there. The whole thing is a mirror image of your personality. Your body is a temple, and the idol in the actual temple actually represents the infinite which is there within your body. Now it is very interesting. The outside of the temple is there, then you enter, it's open on all, the ceiling is open on all four sides, and then you go to the next portion of the temple. On the sides they are closed, and then finally when you see the sanctum sanctorum where the idol is there, there will be no light. This is how a traditional temple is supposed to be. Why is it that they didn't keep any light where the idol is? This is again very symbolic. The external layers of your personality you know your body, you know your emotions, you know your thoughts, everything you know. But what you don't know is that infinite which is present within you. So the external temple is a representation of your personality. Because without understanding that, they said, why should the sanctum sanctorum not have light? So let us bring in tube lights, and they have lighted that. Now that is because the significance of all these things have got lost, So just by going to a temple, how they had devised the system was for you to get reminded of your path. The entry into the temple is a starting point of your inward journey, and then that infinite is dark to you. That is why I told you, whether it's the words or whether it is some system which they have kept, in everything, there is a message. So whenever something is not known to a person, they generally use the word Nisha, night or darkness. The very word Krishna means black, dark, unknown. That which is beyond the intellect. See, that is very important here to understand. Unknown here means unknowable. That which the intellect can never know. So in that which is night for all beings, means that which people don't know, the self-controlled one is awake. Tasyam jagarti sanyami. So the self-controlled one, sanyami, if you remember in the earlier verses, I had explained, he had used the word sanyama, samayama. Samayama can give you the actual meaning. So when they both join, generally for chanting purposes and all that, it is pronounced as sanyama. So the sanyama means the science of self-mastery, the science of self-control, gaining complete mastery over yourself. So sanyami is one who practices sanyama. Not only is the one who practices sanyama, but one who has mastered it here in this context. So earlier in one of the verses, he had asked you to practice sanyama, start the practice of sanyama. If you don't remember that, you can go to the earlier verses and refer to that. Because I had taken several sessions on what is this sanyama. It is a complete science of self-mastery. Now having said that there, now he is talking about that person who has practiced this sanyama, who has practiced self-mastery and who has achieved complete mastery over himself. the science of right contact with the world. See, when we read it with the previous verse, verse 68, where he talked of nigrihitani, I told you nigrihitani is not talking of contact or contacting the senses physically or not contacting the senses, but it is how you approach the whole thing. What is your center? So a Sanyami is one who has completely gotten into the state of nigrihitani. He has mastered the science or art of right contact with the world. See, today when you contact the world, either you get totally attached, you indulge, or you run away from the world, you withdraw. But a person who has gained self-mastery, he neither gets attached nor does he run away. He is able to contact the world properly. Such a person is called a Sanyami. See, it's a very powerful description. He is describing the Sthita Prajna using many ways, using many words, and each of that word actually describes a particular dimension of Sthita Prajna. See, what you need to understand is that the infinite is beyond words, and to describe a person who is attuned with the infinite is also almost impossible. See, you can describe a person who has achieved something in the world, that is easy. Is this person put an effort and he became a businessman, a successful businessman? What is it to be a successful businessman? All those things can be defined. Not only with respect to business, similarly a mathematician or an engineer or a doctor. But when it comes to being spiritual, what is it to be a master? What is it to be a Sthita Prajna? Impossible. Because that experience which he goes through when he when he is one with the infinite is incomprehensible. It cannot be defined with words. So what these great masters are doing is that they in order to make it easy for the students, they take up different facets of a Sthita Prajna, and for each of these facets they use a particular word. So sometimes you may find him using the word Sanyami. Even in this verse itself, he says Munihi. That is another facet, So different facets. So if you go on gaining the wisdom about all these facets, slowly, your understanding will deepen. So when you are studying any particular facet, my request is don't fix your mind and get stuck there. Don't think that now I have understood Sthita Prajna. It is like we have read the poem, 6 blind men and the elephant. So each one touched one part of the elephant and concluded that is the elephant. So someone touched the tail and he said, I know what an elephant is like. So he described the tail, it's long and all that. Another person touched the trunk and he said, I know how the elephant is. So the poet says, even though each one of them was individually right, all of them were wrong. Because it's a very limited understanding, it is not a complete picture. That is why he uses the word in the second line, Pashyato means, Pashyataha means a seer. When we come there, I'll explain in greater detail. one who has awakened the third eye, who has the complete picture. So every bit of this knowledge is meant to uplift you, but there is also an inherent danger. Every bit of this knowledge can also boost your ego, and you may get into a feeling, now I have captured it. I have understood what Asthita Prajna is, or whatever he's trying to explain. I have understood this. So the moment you get into that feeling, apply the previous principle which I said, bring back the mystery element. In one of the Upanishads, the master gives the highest energy, and the student receives it with all the sincerity, and the student has an out of the world experience. His consciousness rises so much, and he goes into such deep meditation which cannot be expressed in words, And then the master sees that the student feels that this is the infinite. It looks like that for the student. So then the master immediately cautions. He says, whatever you are experiencing now is not the truth. That shakes the student up. He is unable to believe it. It is very difficult to believe, because even the relative experiences which you will get, where under the guidance of a master, when you go within, is so blissful. Those relative experiences are so deep that you feel that is the highest. But the master keeps on cautioning. He says, no, this is not the highest. You have to travel more. You will have to wait. So that is how this is. In every verse, your consciousness rises when we are discussing certain dimensions of a particular word. See, these are all just words. These are tools which are being used actually to cause a transformation within you. So when that is happening, then the ego is just waiting to immediately pounce and say, and bring about this feeling, now I have understood, now I know this. So that is why I spent quite a bit of time in explaining how important it is to bring that state of wonderment within you, like a child, like a baby. A baby is free of all the ego, So you need to constantly keep applying that at every step, every stage of your sadhana. So in that which is night for all beings, the self-controlled one, the Sanyami, one who has practiced and mastered it, that person is awake. So prima facie, what do we understand by that? By this? That experience which is unknown or unknowable to everyone, that is known to this person. Here, Jagr means to be awake. There are many dimensions of Jagra. I'll cover it as we go along. But the first dimension is very important for you to understand, because this is the base, this is the foundation. So when he says Jagarti Sanyami, it means that person knows something which others don't know. See, science divides the world into two: that which is known and that which is unknown. So whatever you know, you have found out, and whatever you don't know, you can always know. Now when it comes to spirituality, these great masters say apart from what is known and unknown to you, there is something which is unknowable. See, when we say known and unknown, from a scientific point of view, that unknown can one day become known to you with the intellect. We are talking about intellectual knowledge and ignorance. But when they use the word that which is unknown, what they mean is, that is the great yogis, they mean that which is beyond the intellect, unknowable. So we can say there are three things: known, unknown, and that which is beyond the known and unknown, it is unknowable. In the Upanishads, he says that, that which is beyond whatever you know and whatever you don't know, he says. Now, why this is very important is, when you take this as, when you approach this merely at the intellectual level, you may think, okay, now this Sita Prajna, he knows something which we may not know. So let me just gain that knowledge, that piece of information, immediately I'll become a Sthita Prajna. It's not that. The Jagra, see, when we talk of being awake, it is not knowledge, it is an experience. See, right now you are awake, relatively, you are in the waking state of consciousness. Now, being awake is an experience, it is an experiential knowledge, experiential wisdom. It is not merely an information, a piece of information. It is not at the intellectual level. So what he's saying is, that which is dark to everyone else, that experience this person has. We'll see what is unknown to everyone, that we will see, and in what the self-controlled person is awake. What is that experience which he has? Because first we'll see it from the highest standpoint and then from the relative standpoint also, so that your wisdom will deepen. See, these verses will be so useful for you to set your direction in this path. See, the problem is, when in the worldly sense, you can easily fix a goal and travel. When it comes to the inward journey, the spiritual journey, you really don't know where you're going, because that state, the fourth state of consciousness, is unknowable. It cannot be known by the intellect. Then where are we heading? This question is always there in every sincere sadhak's mind, because whatever goal you fix will be relative only. So it is these verses, which will actually help you get a better direction. I wouldn't say you will know 100% where you are going, but you will start getting an idea of where you are heading. What is that supreme state? These are all indicators which will help you. So, what is it that is unknown to everyone and that experience this person has? This is applicable at all levels of your personality. We will take up a few and see. First of all, from the spiritual level, what experience that person has is that of the infinite, the Paramatma. Paramatma means the Supreme Self. You know your physical body, you know your prana. Even prana itself most people don't know, but I am saying that is all that can be easily known. You know your emotions, you know your thoughts, but that power which is beyond your physical body, which is making your body act, that power which is beyond your pranas, which is enabling the pranas to function, that power which is beyond the emotions and feelings, which is behind the emotions and feelings, which is making you feel those emotions, that power which is beyond your thoughts, which is making you think, that power is unknown to you today. That is experienced by this great Mahatma. What is the difference between a Buddha and a normal person? Buddha means a fully awakened one. It's the same meaning, whether he says Jagarti or whether we say Buddha, it's all one and the same. One who is awakened. So you know the manifestations, but you know not the source, the cause. This person has access to that. It is like, when you are going through a dream, you know the entire dream. That is, all the objects, the people of the dream. But what is the source of the dream? Who is the waker, the waker's mind? That you don't have access to. When I say you, I mean the dreamer does not have access to the waker's mind. But the moment you wake up, now you become the waker. You have access to that, to your mind. That is, you experience your mind, which was the source of the dream world. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami. In that he is awake. And the saddest part, I wouldn't say saddest part, but that is how it is made. The thing is that since it is unknowable, it is inexplicable also using words. So the master experiences something which all others have no access to, but he is unable to communicate. And that is why a Tamil Siddhar, he said, Vindavar Kandilar, Kandavar Vindilar. One who talks has not seen it. One who has seen it does not talk. Means that experience cannot be expressed in words. What he is trying to do is almost impossible. You may then ask me, why did Krishna talk to Arjuna? Or why did the Upanishadic masters talk to the students? Even that Tamil Siddhar who said that, he has written it, he has sung it. Why did he do that? He is not saying that a master will necessarily keep quiet externally. It's not that. What he is trying to say is that supreme experience, since it is unknowable by the intellect, you have to drop the body, you have to drop your emotions, you have to drop your intellect, everything, and merge with that. Since it is beyond the intellect, it cannot be captured by words. Words are very, very gross. So that is why, you may find that some of the greatest masters, when it came to the highest, they whatever they said was all confusing, because they tried to capture that infinite, but it was impossible. So when he says that which is not known to others, the Sthita Prajna has that experience, knows it. He just says that person is awake there. Now you may think, oh, okay, I don't know something. Now he's going to explain to me. Immediately I'll understand. It is not possible like that. Just imagine, you are in a room. The other person is also, a group of people are there in the room, and you have come, you have seen something outside, and you come inside, and they have no experience of the world outside that room. Now, how difficult it is for you to explain what is happening outside the room. It is like that. You have no experience beyond this physical existence, emotional existence, and intellectual existence. But a master has seen, has experienced something beyond these, but he is unable to communicate. So what he can do is, if the student surrenders, and if the student is willing to explore, if the student has full faith, he can slowly help the student remove all the blocks and push the student gently inward. It's like almost opening the door and pushing the person out. You go and experience what is there. That the master can do. But the master really cannot communicate that experience. Anyone who says, I will explain to you who God is, doesn't know what he's talking. It means he does not have the full experience of the infinite. Vindavar Kandilar, Kandavar Vindilar. He who knows does not talk. He who talks does not know. What a powerful saying it is, See, these great siddhas, these great masters, that's what I told you. Everything which they say is a mantra. Mantra moolam gurur vakyam. So from the highest standpoint, he has experienced that which is the source of all this. So you are experiencing the dream world as a dreamer, and the waker is experiencing the waking world. The dreamer does not have the capacity to conceive the waker. Please understand this. Whatever he conceives as the waker will be limited by the dream intellect. I don't know whether you are following me. If you are going through a dream experience and you are the dreamer there, how much can the dreamer know about the waker? Even if in the dream, let us say, just for argument's sake, as a waker you are able to go into the dream. Then you are the guru in the dream, and you try to tell the dreamer that, listen, this is all an illusion, that which is beyond this is there, so you need to wake up for that. All that you say. And that person writes down notes, the dreamer writes down notes, and he says, I have understood who the waker is. All that may be there, but still he has not understood. The only way to understand this is by waking up. Jagarti. That word Jagarti is a very powerful word. Jagr, the root word, That is why the infinite is called self-illuminating. Swayam Prakashit. In many of the meditation sessions, I keep, when you go into a deep state, I immediately say that, I am self-illuminating. Swayam Prakashit. Don't try to understand it with the intellect, but just sit and become meditative. That's all. When you're receiving this, There is no other way. You have to drop all the limitations, and then whatever is there within you, that infinite will start emerging, will start manifesting. That is why he said, Tasya prajna pratishtita in the previous verse. The wisdom will get established in the infinite. You cannot capture the infinite. Your intellectual wisdom cannot capture the infinite. It is the wisdom which has to get established in the infinite. The wisdom has to merge with the infinite. The river has to completely merge with the ocean. The ocean will not come to the river. The river only has to go and then merge with the ocean. So whatever experience you get of the divine is actually not the whole truth. It is only partial. Sometimes people say, oh, I have seen God. God is not seeable with your eyes. God is not hearable with your ears. God is not perceivable with your senses. I can feel God. God is not feelable. If there's a word like that, you cannot feel God with your emotions. You cannot think of God with your intellect. It is that mysterious power which is behind your senses, behind your emotions, behind your thoughts. And a Sanyami who has sincerely practiced all these principles and who has mastered himself, that person, he gets that experience. So this is from the highest level. We'll stop with that today. In today's session, I had increased the energy further. At some point, you need to get to the ultimate truth, no? It's almost like an Upanishad, the Upanishadic level. So whether you understood what was being said and all that is not important, whether you understood or not understood. If you say, I was very inspired when I heard that, that is more than enough. That is exactly the purpose of these verses. So in today's meditation, I'll take you more deep. We will increase the mystery element and just get inspired, So before that, I'll take up a few questions which have come. The first question is by Shiva Krishnan from New Jersey. Dear Yogishri, Hari Om. As I reflect on the weekly sessions of the past few weeks, I have a question regarding achieving and finding the center. Regarding my career, I know I have tremendous potential and I can feel it within me. I also know I can keep getting better as I put more effort into it and move up the ranks. On a personal level, my kid is 16 months young and I have spent the entire time with him during the pandemic. Recently, I've been asked to return to the office, and that's when it started to hit me that I won't be able to see my kid for almost the entire day. As I kept thinking about it, I started questioning what is more important to me. I know my son is the center of my life and spending time with him is extremely important. At the same time, I can't leave my job as well as this provides for my family. How do I find the balance between achieving at work and yet be there for him? Knowing that he is my center and wanting to spend more time with him, am I letting go of career opportunities and not realizing the potential within me? Please advise and thanks for your guidance. Sincerely, Shiva. It's a very, very good question which Shiva has asked. This is very useful to everyone. Now, when I said you should find your center, the whole idea of locating your center is to shift your center from external to within yourself. So if your center is outside you, be it work or be it your son or be it your wife or your father, mother, friend, name, fame, anything outside you, now you cannot be peaceful. Everything which happens to that person will start affecting you. Not only can you not be peaceful, but you will not be able to give your best to the other person. Either you will become overprotective. For example, if you take this, I'm glad that you've been able to locate, yes, my son is my center. Now for how long? After a while that will shift. Before the son was born, 16 months before, what was your center? Not the son. And then after the son grows, he'll go away. That is the time when it'll hit you. My God, I took my son as a center. But it is a natural process. See, life keeps on moving. When you're, as a child, your center is the toys which you're playing. As you move up, as you grow in the school, the studies and all that becomes your center. Then when you become a teenager, your friends, your girlfriend, boyfriend, all, this becomes your center. Then when you become an adult, your career becomes your center. You find a partner, your spouse becomes your center. Then a kid is born, a baby is born, that baby becomes your center. Like this, your center keeps on shifting in life. None of these are permanent. So what you're asking is, how do I balance between spending time with my son and career? But for that, you need to first shift your center from your son to the self within. If you are unable to straightaway shift your center to the infinite self within, then at least these principles, the spiritual principles, are relative principles first. Unless you shift your center from outside to inside, it is not possible to balance these things outside. Even you've given one problem, that is you're missing your child when you go to work. But that is not it. It is not that merely you will not be efficient during in your workplace. Even when if you continue to spend time with your child, when you are completely dependent on the child, what will happen is you will become so overprotective after a while. You will be unable to give the necessary freedom to the other person to function, to flower in his own way. So you have to be very careful. See, what do we mean by center? When your happiness is dependent on some factor outside you, then that is what we call as your center. You may have multiple centers also in different proportions, I'm again not saying you should not move with your child. Of course, your son has come into your life to give you that happiness, that external happiness, relative happiness. But you should not be centered there. That is what is this whole teaching. So your question should not be, now that my center is the son, how do I balance it with the work? Your first question should be, how do I now shift my center from my son to within me? That is what the sadhana is all about. And it's very, very difficult. I am putting that caution also. Wherever you're attached, to pull your mind from there is difficult. But that is the only way if you want to be happy and if you want to make the other person also happy. See, if you're too attached to your son, Now there will be a constant fear in your mind. Oh, nothing should happen to my son. Observe your own mind, you will know what I'm saying. If you are attached to work, there will be an insecurity there. That insecurity will not allow you to be peaceful. So relate with your son, relate with your work. See, otherwise, but be centered within you. Do the Yoga Sankirtan Sadhana every day. Anyway, you are attending the Sunday discourses. Now use all these to get centered within yourself, because all these external experiences are temporary. Today you're saying he's 16 months old. Before you blink your eye, he'll become 16 years old. He'll want to be more independent. At that time, you will find it very, very difficult. So again, when I'm saying this, don't, you may get into a withdrawal artificially and you may not experience it at all. That's not what is being said. You just have to operate from within. Understand that these are all experiences in life which I have to go through. I will go through the ups and downs. I'll experience that relative happiness, everything. But my goal is not all this. My goal is not limited to my son or my work or my father or mother or my family, or it's not limited to the world. I have come into this world to become one with the infinite. That is what you should start strengthening through the sadhana. So 24 hours if you're with your child, actually it may not be good for the child. I'm saying if you are with the child with this attachment. So nature is also giving you what is good for you and what is good for your child also. So my request is, do the sadhana and come out of this attachment. If you want to genuinely do good to your child, you should come out of this attachment. This message is not only for the person who has asked the question, it is for everyone. What you should give is unconditional love. And unconditional love is not dependent on the time which you spend, the quantity of time which you spend with the other person. It is that inner energy, that inner feeling which you send to the other person. Quality time is what is important, not quantity time. See, you're wanting to spend more and more time with the child for your happiness. That is what we are calling as the center being there, attachment, Instead, do the sadhana and become happy and radiate that happiness. Then even if you spend half an hour with your child, that will be very, very satisfying. It will be satisfying for you, it will be very satisfying for the child also. And it is this principle is not restricted only to the child. It is with every aspect of the world. It is quality time which you should aim for, not quantity time. If you go for quantity, then there will be no time for you to experience the world. Because where is the end? In every aspect you take, your mind will never get satiated. It is the quality. So it is a very good question. When you do the sadhana, these questions will come up. What is amazing is you've been able to pinpoint and locate where your center is. That is what is very difficult for people, See, in that area you have located. Now that you have located, you need to withdraw your consciousness. Do the Yoga Sankirtan Sadhana, the other meditations every Sunday which we're doing. Do that. It is the Guru Shakti which can help you. The Guru Purnima session has been kept in YouTube. It will be there for a while. So you do that meditation again. Get attuned to the higher Shakti, the Guru Shakti. The more attuned you are, the more you will be able to get that energy in order to improve your inner strength. I know that this would be difficult for everyone, but this is what is good for you. This is what will make you happy. So there is a thin dividing line between attachment and unconditional love. Do reflect on these thoughts. When I am relating with the other person, am I doing it for my happiness or am I doing it for the other person's happiness? Ask yourself. That'll give you a clue. That'll give you that clue to solve this problem and start going within. Okay, so we'll take up the other questions as we go along. Now we'll do the meditation. So we're going to have a powerful meditation today. So just let go of everything. Relax completely. Keep your spine straight. That is very important. In the spiritual practices, always the spine should be straight. That is very conducive, And place your palms facing upwards on your thighs or on your knees. When they are facing upwards, you are receiving energy. See, to get the messages of these verses, what is required is surrender and receptivity, not intelligence. So when you are placing your palms on your thighs, just let go and get into the mode of surrender. Then only the higher Shakti will start flowing. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. I let go of all my past. I let go of my ego, the ego of achievement. the ego of knowledge. I am like a newborn baby, fresh, pure, I bow down to the Guru Shakti and request the higher energy to flow into my life. Where have I come from? What am I doing here? Where am I going? am not this body. I am not these various emotions and thoughts. Who am I? Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today we had a very deep session. You know, when you go into such a deep state in meditation, it is difficult for you to come out immediately. And that is why I talk for a while and bring your consciousness back, because you have to function in the world. See, that is something which you need to take care when we are doing these kinds of verses, which are at a very high level. The energy, the vibrations emitted from these verses are very powerful. So you should receive them fully, get inspired so that your direction is set in your life. But at the same time, you should be careful. You have to balance it out by doing your worldly duties to perfection. Whatever your activities are in work, in business, family, in all these, give your best. Karma Yoga is so important. There is always a chance to slip. See, the ego is always waiting. When you get so highly inspired, the ego can come and tempt your mind and say, what is there in the world? So it may pull you away from your duties. So don't allow that. This is for you to get inspired. This is an internal process. Externally, whatever you need to do, whatever you ought to do, that you should do. Whether it's an office or home or anywhere. Try to bring about a balance in all the duties. As I was explaining to that person in that question, if all your energies are focused only on one aspect, that too outside you, be it your son or work or spouse or be it anything, then your entire potential will be reduced. You cannot live up to the dignity and prestige of a human being, which is, to reach the infinite. So work on bringing about a balance. Whenever your center is outside, you will find that your life will be imbalanced only. So you have to do all your duties to perfection. I'm stressing on that after today's meditation. I'll be stressing on the practical aspect also as we go along with these verses, because his yogic approach is so powerful that a small slip you make, you may go to one extreme, You have to be very careful. Okay? So do well. Do your sadhana on a daily basis. Go on perfecting yourself and make your life wonderful. So we'll continue with this verse in the next session. Thank you very much. Hari Om.